Anytime we implement something new, teachers are likely to have concerns, whether they're personal, management, or concerns related to the impact on their students.
Through Ovec, we have learned about using concerns-based adoption model, or CBAM, which is a tool that can help us as coaches identify and describe concerns teachers have during the implementation of a new program or process.
The stages of concerns is a way of addressing info about people's attitudes or reactions about a new program or practice. By determining the teacher's concerns, we can decide what support that we can offer and what next steps might be helpful to move these teachers to the next phase.
There are 7 stages of concern numbered from 0 to 6. Stage 0 being, I don't even know what this is, or I don't care yet what this is. Stage 1 is, I've heard about this and I need some more information. Stage 2 is personal concerns. How's this going to affect me? What's in it for me? I'm not sure if I can do this, and so forth. On up to stage 6, which is I have some ideas about how we might do things better.
Those concerns show up as a profile, and as the individual becomes more informed, less personally concerned, more proficient with the use, the profile will shift and you will get a different picture of what the concerns of the teacher or the group are.
At my school this year, we're piloting the Professional Growth Evaluation System. We have 6 teachers and our administrator who are actively involved in the process. Other teachers have received some initial information and have different levels of knowledge and concern about the process. As we near the end of our first pilot year, the teachers involved are reflecting on how the process can be improved upon next year and how they can share this knowledge with other teachers. Our staff is aware of the intent to scale up and include other teachers in the process next year. Most teachers are in easily identifiable levels of the concern in CBAM spectrum. Here are some examples of the various levels of concern.
The process of PGS is very time consuming. However, it's been beneficial to have pre-test data, going to have post-test data, so it's working in my favor. I feel like once it's rolled out and we have a year under our belt, it'll be okay.
My thoughts on PGS right now and concerns are, I really don't have any concerns at this point in time because I have other things to worry about. Being a math teacher, so right now, I'm not even thinking about it.
I'm concerned about the objective versus the subjective, how much training is going to be involved, what would be the framework is, what's objective, what's subjective.
So my concerns and thoughts about the PGS implementation in the classroom next year is I just look at it as one more progression. I'm going into my second decade of teaching now, and we started off with CATS, and then we had K-Prep, and now we have this, and it's just one more thing the state seems to be layering on us. We take the TEL survey, and they want to know, do we spend too much time on paperwork? And I think this is just one more thing that's going to spend more time on paperwork and less time taken away from working with the students and planning lessons and help us meet the core content and help us prepare the kids in the reading, the math, and other areas of that nature. So I have some concerns on how much time is going to be wasted on implementing a program that might not even be there in 5 years like the other programs have done.
Probably my biggest concern or thoughts about PGES for myself is being able to implement it fully, being true to what is being asked of me as a teacher. I know that once I understand the program, I'll be able to implement it, but making sure that I have the right PD, the right kind of information, so that I fully understand the program, and then taking the program and making sure that I am able to use it with my students. I think that all of these programs are designed to help our students' academic levels increase. And so being faithful to the program, feeling comfortable with the program, and then just being able to have the time to be able to implement the program fully.
Our school, really the first thing that comes to mind is really the consistency in the evaluation process of the effectiveness system. I think having administrators all trained in the same format, the same style is very important. I think it lends itself to, again, that consistency of how we measure the effectiveness of our teachers. And you'll find yourself learning more about the various contents that are out there. And you start to find your own weaknesses as you realize that, you have music, you have Spanish, you have French, you have technology, all these different contents that are going to push you to strive to understand the instruction and the level of assessments that are going on within that classroom as teachers establish their SMART goals for their students. I think that really as a principal, it is so important that you be on top of your calendar because you do have the pre-conference the observations to schedule, the post-conference to schedule a day after the teacher has time to reflect. And then you have the actual write-up that you're going to complete and enter into the SIDS EDS system. So there are a lot of things that take place with this evaluation, but what you'll find is it is very rewarding to know that when teachers come in for a post-conference that they're driving the conference, that they've evaluated themselves, they've really reflected on how they did, and probably more importantly, they come in reflecting about the success of their students on that particular lesson, which is really what we're after. We're really trying to see how our students are performing, and teachers are really getting to that level.
This year at my school, we have implemented professional learning communities building-wide. We began the year with a 12-hour school-based training where many of our teachers jumped right on board with the implementation of PLCs. As the year progressed, teachers' concerns have surfaced that fall into every stage of concern in the CBAM model. As we finish out the year and begin planning for next year, we are looking at these teacher concerns so that we can move to the next level with our PLC work. Here are some examples of the various levels of concern.
PLCs. During our scheduled PLC time, I feel we actually get the chance to analyze data and develop our next steps to improve student achievement. However, what I feel we don't do well is how we handle PLCs for ECE teachers. I'm attached to a content PLC as well as an ECE PLC, which causes confusion on which community to attend. I feel that each PLC is extremely valuable, and to miss a meeting is unacceptable. So how we handle that, we just need to improve on.
All right, I think PLCs have provided many opportunities for the teachers, especially in the content areas, to get together to plan here at Farnsley. Since the beginning of the year, I teach social studies. My colleagues and I, we have been able to take the time to plan out lessons by comparing the curriculum map to actually what we're teaching that week. We also have been able to sit down together and extract the data from Cascade and look at that to determine whether or not we need to teach a content area. So the PLCs, I think, have been a welcome addition for us teachers here at Farnsley, and it has provided the opportunities that we need to become better teachers and to make sure that every student is prepared for college.
The collaboration here at Farnsley due to our PLCs has been great on our 6th grade. It's the best that we've had before. We're developing common assessments for the first time and using those. I will say that one area I would still like to see us grow in is actually doing better with utilizing the data and what do we do with those individual students.
Okay. One of my concerns with PLC is that I feel like at the beginning of the year we were not given enough time in our PLC. I felt like it was always brushed to the side and taken up by a team meeting or department meeting. Now at the end of the year I feel like we do get much more time with that. In our PLCs I think it's important because it helps us stay on pace. We can compare where we're at with the other math teachers, and it helps us to share ideas and lessons. If we're struggling getting a concept for our students, then the other teachers might have a lesson or a strategy that helps them.
It does me no good. I have no one to meet with because I'm the only art teacher here.
We're here to share with you some of our thoughts regarding working in PLCs. Shannon, would you like to make a comment?
Okay, one of the positive things that I like about PLCs is our ability to plan together. I had never a second guess if what I'm doing is the right instruction or if my pacing is off, because when we meet as a PLC, every week we're able to plan and we talk about common goals, common themes for our instruction and how we're going to get there. So we really map out what assessments we're going to do, formative and summative. We talk about how our kids perform on assessments. We talk about many lessons that we want to do, and we talk about where our kids are and where we want them to go. And so it really takes the guessing work out of planning. So that's one positive thing about
here at Farnsley, but one thing that I think would help our PLCs here is a little more consistency with our schedule. The ability to keep up on all these things in a collaborative effort would improve if we met on a more regular basis. And it seems like when we started these, it was a little far and few between, and now it's a lot more consistent. So we meet and we don't always have our pacing right with our teaching to bring the right stuff to the PLC. Would you agree?
I would agree. if we had a set schedule for the entire year, that probably would help the planning. But it seemed like in the beginning of the year, we weren't meeting as often, or we didn't have enough time per our schedule, and now it's maybe twice a week and so on. But we've had great things come from our PLCs. We've come out with a sustained silent reading program for endurance reading for our struggling readers. We've been able to come up with a DIP plan for our school, a deep implementation plan, where 30, 60, 90 days that we were able to come up with interventions for our struggling kids. We've been able to look at district assessments and how our kids are performing, and we've realized, even though we're three very different teachers, our kids are really performing about the same in the AP classes and in the comprehensive classes.
Right.
So even though we have a different way of teaching the material, we're obviously teaching the same material because our kids are hitting the same standards and missing the same standards.
Yeah.
And I think our scores are lining up that way because we are planning as a PLC, we are talking as a PLC, and therefore our data is kind of coming together.
Okay. I would like to say, in terms of PLCs, I think it's one of the best things that we've done in this building in a long time in terms of professional development, in terms of teachers collaborating together. I think in the past we've done PDs and that the PDs that we've done were very good, but teachers would go in their individual classroom, shut the door, and they'd be in their own little world. What I like about PLCs is what it's done. It's actually caused teachers to collaborate more. I've seen a lot more common planning amongst grade level content teachers than I ever have before. So I think that's been one of the great things that's happened out of this. Now, I think next steps for us in terms of PLCs is to dig down deeper and start now looking at drilling down individual students and assessment scores and how we can change instruction for those kids that don't get it. I think that's our next step in terms of PLCs.
As coaches, we are often required to be advocates for change, so we need to pay attention to the stages of concerns our teachers exhibit in order to most appropriately address their concerns.
We should adjust our coaching, supports, and PD based on the concerns. For example, it might be inappropriate to stress the value of PGES for improving student learning outcomes when the teachers are struggling to grasp the basic information about the process. We need to step back and address the need for information about procedures and personal concerns and alleviate their concerns so that the faculty can move on with implementation.
We realize that if our classrooms and our schools continue to do what we've always done, we will continue to get the same results with our students. As new programs are implemented, CBAM can help us provide support so that change of practices can happen and we can grow as professionals and improve the learning process for students.